Done. Let me close out all the distractions that are sure to pop up during this meeting. All right, can everybody see the PowerPoint now, or the presentation?
Yes.
Cool. Why is that happening? There we go. How's that? Better? All right, so don't know why it's getting truncated, but I don't think it matters. Thanks for coming to Product Council for Q4. Same as every other Product Council, I think almost everybody here has been to one before for the most part. Can everybody else mute for now? There's like a lot of feedback on our side.
Danae.
Sorry, hold on.
Perfecto.
Glory.
All right, so the usual kind of rundown. This one will be a little bit different. As you'll see, we didn't do the stack ranking of the features. We kind of carried some over from last time, and I think did a lot more independent research within the company for stack ranking some of the items that we're going to move into Q4. So we'll talk about that as well. So first, how we normally kick these off is by going over kind of the product performance and how it is performing in all the other aspects of the company, not just product itself, but sales, support, and retention / AM. So we'll kind of go through some of those metrics. This part I intend to be pretty interactive, so we'll talk about the indicators of the trends, and then I want the respective people to be able to at least talk on a little bit why they feel like it's happening, so then we can adjust course as necessary. So first, product performance. Let's jump into sales. Who do we have from sales on the line? Did Todd, Andrew, or Neil hop on?
This is Neil. I'm here, and I've got Chance here with me as well in the office.
Cool. Thanks, guys, for joining. So we're going to start talking about sales a little bit. I know you guys, or I guess on your side, a little more independent focused, but we can obviously still talk about a little bit of both with some insight from other salespeople or AMs in the room. But sales have been a little stagnant. We've had some jumps here and there, not what we'd like to see. Even though they haven't been terrible, we're not where we need to be from a budgeting perspective. So I think last I knew, we were actually about 75% to plan to what we had budgeted for the company. So that's not where we want to be. So we want to be able to improve sales sooner or later. So there's a few ways we can do that, which we'll get into later, as far as, at least as far as functionality goes. So ultimately, stagnant-ish sales, a little bit of a slump, as you can see when we get into fall here, but we hope to pick up sooner than later and grab some momentum going into early next year.
Hey, Aaron, we are seeing the DealerFire product strategy slide, the first slide that was shown. I don't know if you've started to show any sales stats.
I did. Let me try to update the share.
Yep, we're looking at a sales laptop now. There we go.
Got it. Muchas gracias. So yeah, anyway, sales are a little bit stagnant, not where we'd like them to be from a trending point, nor from an overall actual to budget perspective. We need to be doing a little bit better. I think product has obviously a big chunk of the responsibility there. So we're hopefully prepared to make some adjustments to help out. Any insight from Neil or Chance on sales? Any big hurdles you've been having outside of product features, or anything you want to talk about? Seasonality playing a part here, or anything? Any other insight?
I think it's seasonality to a little bit of an extent, but I think it's also kind of the the lead up to the user summit, I think a lot of dealers are tapping their brakes, waiting to see if anything's going to happen there. Kind of like a NADA lull before the show.
Yeah.
I think we're kind of experiencing a little bit of that. And I mean, as of October, from a dealer standpoint, when I was in a dealership, we didn't start getting our budget ready and looking at upgrading any of our products until October, November. So I think they're just kind of from a dealer standpoint, they're kind of tapping the brakes right now, just getting ready for 2017.
Cool. Well, that's, I guess, good and bad. Hopefully they purchase early in 2017. But interesting, I think we've seen similar things in the past with a little bit of a slump going into the fall. I think they're more likely to cancel something and buy something going into the stretch here. So not so good on that front, but hopefully we can turn it around due to seasonality and some of the product enhancements we'll talk about. So I also put this is from Salesforce, by the way. Obviously, we should hopefully be looking at these pretty often. So this is the breakdown between franchise and independent. So independent in particular, I guess it's all trending similarly, but we've had a harder time making some gains in independent. I know Chance has talked to me recently about a way to maybe improve some of that, and I think Neil had contributed some ideas on how we can improve that. But any other? I think you guys are more independent focused. Any other main thoughts on independent? Do they operate differently than franchise from a purchasing perspective? Is there anything we should kind of know from that end of things?
I mean, you've got on the independent side, you've got a lot of, I guess you'd call them startups now, and they preach a lot of functionality at a cheaper price point. We deal with budgets a lot more often, or I guess smaller budgets a lot more often than the franchise team would. They're always looking to, save a buck, right? I think, you and I have gone back and forth on the pro sites. I feel like there's a big opportunity there, just in terms of kind of maybe unlocking the potential there. We've just kind of been running up against that and dealing with, some confusion on what can be done, what can't be done. And I think just some clarity on both ends, dev and sales. We'd just be a lot more successful with that product. I've talked with Neil, if we could get some updated templates as well, I feel like that would help. And we just started running the e-car list transition campaign, I guess, 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago?
Yeah, the dealers officially got the letters last week, I believe.
Yeah.
We've been getting a lot of traction on that.
So that's working really well, I think. So
cool. You're seeing a good response from that campaign immediately?
Yeah, I think it's kind of lighting the fire under the dealers.
Yeah.
Just because they now know that there's actually a timeline.
Right.
Like I think we've come up against a lot of old e-car list users, and they're like, "No, I'm happy with where I'm at.
Yeah.
You guys aren't shutting it off, so why do I need to change?" Now that they've gotten the letters and they've received notification that we are going to officially shut these down, I think we're seeing a lot more movement.
They're reaching out pretty often now. Man.
So, out of curiosity, is that legit? Are we actually having a shutdown date?
Yeah.
Yeah, they told us 10 to 12 months from the middle of September. So probably this time, end of 2017 is when we're going to officially shut down the e-car list sites.
Awesome.
Neil, and maybe Corey too. This is Danae. I just wanted to know what the feedback was, if they're looking to move to DealerFire, or if they're just kind of upset about it and wanting to move away from us.
So from the sales side, I mean, we see the leads and we get the calls from dealers that are willing to make the move.
Yeah.
A lot of them I think a lot of them know that they've been way behind the times.
Yeah, that's right. I think they know they need to upgrade their site.
They just didn't want to pay for it.
Right. Yeah.
They didn't want to pay for it.
Yeah.
Now they realize, okay, well, if we're going to move platforms and we're going to have to upgrade, we might as well look at something class leading. So.
And then on the support side, Danae, it's been mostly positive. People definitely are excited. I think they've been kind of waiting to kind of see if you're going to have any special deals or anything. So it's kind of pushing people a little bit to reach out to sales, which is positive. It also is a good point for us as we're coming across the lingering engineering issues that we're having a hard time fixing. Now that we have that firm kind of cutoff date of, hey, we're not going to be able to fix this before we, end of life the product. It's helped steer some of those customers, possibly, hopefully to us, but at least it's moving them in a direction besides just stagnating.
Sure. And what's is there I'm guessing a cost increase from going to ECL depending on what plan they're on now? But is there a general plan we're putting them on for pricing, or is it the same Pro light pricing that we have today?
It's the same. It's the same pricing that we've had on the lights, the Pros, and the customs. My team has actually gotten really proficient in going into Salesforce and seeing what they're currently paying. So we're trying to target them with the custom sites if they're already on an ECL custom, and then if they're on the templates, we try to edge them more towards the Pro. Just obviously, it's a better choice than the light, but we always kind of default to the light as a last ditch to just get them to sign up and move forward on something new.
Cool. Well, that's all I had for sales slides, unless there's anything else to specifically get into. Again, I think as far as the sales feature request, that comes later. So unless there's anything outside of what's been requested or any other concerns, we can kind of jump on to the next functional part of the business.
As far as requests are concerned, I did have something come up. I mean, we can discuss it later if you want, or I can talk about it now if you got a second.
Yeah, just hit me with the 30-second version.
Yeah, it's real quick. So one of the guys, and it was one of the CRM reps. I was sitting in training with him over in Draper yesterday, and he brought up a really good fact. I don't know if do we have a CRM Crossfire integration on any of our demo, like our lights or our Pro sites, that we can actually go in and submit some sort of lead so they can see it come across on the Crossfire integration?
Not on one of the Pro or lights. We have it on crossfire.dealerfire. So it's basically a template site, although it wouldn't fall as a light or a Pro. So if we think it's imperative to set up an environment on a light or a Pro so we can show it within the actual website that they'd be getting, then we can probably make that happen.
Yeah, I think it would work a little bit better if we had it on. I think it would work a little bit better if we had it on one of, say, like, and not necessarily the lights, but really the Pro, like one of the Pro sites, one of the newer themes that we came out with, like the Skyline or the Modern. Have it on there just so we can show them how it works on the CRM and Crossfire. So when we're doing those joint demos with our CRM reps, they can see that integration work in live time.
Sure. Yeah. We'll just have to know if you guys are using a specific CRM instance and attach that to the website that we have. But other than that, it's not that difficult. So I'll follow up with you afterwards and we can make that happen.
That'd be great. I know that they just launched the demo site for Blackbird. So, I mean, obviously, if we could do that, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Sure. All right. So next we have support. I threw in a couple main things that I found interesting, or at least thought we should look through, and then Corey was kind enough to put together some slides that he'll flow into. So the three things I grabbed from the Heartbeat are at-risk tickets by reason. I figured tickets by reason is good to know, but really what are the things that are helping or hurting, I guess, our retention, since our retention is not where we'd like it to be in general. And I did see that product fault was one of the main reasons. So I thought that was worth digging into more specifically with support and figuring out if there's any kind of trend within product fault, or if it's just general expectations, or if it's like break fix type stuff, or what that actually looks like.
I would say for most of that, it's been more kind of break fixes of things that are broken, or it could relate to things where people want to be able to do things in a different way. And it takes a long time to get something to go through from idea through the product team to be released. I think that's part of the reason why we get more tickets that go to at-risk is if we tell a customer no and they don't receive it well, we mark the tickets at risk to try to help bring other people into it. And that's kind of the main point of those. So usually a product fault is kind of a catch-all for those of something isn't working the way they think it should work and they're pushing back on it.
So
Definitely there's, oh, go ahead.
So you're thinking it's more of a new functionality type thing than it is a broken thing per se. So if it's a module request, it's something that it doesn't do as far as a configuration or something, is what what I got from that.
Yeah, I would say that's kind of more of what we're seeing. There's definitely stuff, and we'll touch on some of the other slides of what the numbers are, stuff going to engineering for broken things. But definitely it's a lot more stuff of where people want to do different things than what we currently can.
Sure. Any other main things we should know within the at-risk ticket section?
I would probably yield more towards account management. They honestly handle much more of the at-risk side than support does.
Sure.
They usually are tagging them, or we do to kind of get them involved. So we're not super involved in that at-risk process at the moment.
Cool. So the next one was case by product, which I thought was interesting. Obviously, I think this is a known thing, and maybe we're just not with design where they fall and where their tasks fall. Maybe it's not breaking in to support as much as it used to. But I thought that there's obviously a lot more website focused tasks than website focused tasks. Is this something we're deeming as accurate, or is this not just being classified as it should?
That's not super accurate. The digital marketing case product is more so related to, it's not really used, I guess. Pretty much anything for a case product that's tabbed as a website, and then the case reason breaks down what it is, if it's something related to digital marketing or not. And that's one of our goals that we're working through, that we just finished a big part to clean up those case reasons, but the case product one really doesn't tell you much, unfortunately.
Got it. And then I thought also interesting that we're pretty static and then had a decent drop and then a weird August bump. I don't know, is there a holiday in August or something that caused the huge drastic increase there?
It's easier to see if you go to the next slide, as far as some of those trends actually are. So definitely, we had a big kind of spike towards the end of August. What that relates to could be some more new models. There's a lot of content cases that were also created during that time, since we do still handle a lot of those. But overall, the general trend really is that we are trending up for the cases that were created, which we're adding websites, so that's to be expected. On the right side there, the waterfall chart is kind of looking at the backlog to kind of show where we were. We had a huge spike on the 4th of July, being closed on the 5th of July, and only having 5 or 6 people working kind of caught us off guard. Usually that wasn't a super busy period for us in the past, but that definitely was a huge push of the backlog that pushed up for us. So for next year, if the 5th is actually still a holiday, we definitely have more information to look at for staffing, but that's what really pushed us behind the 8 ball there. We were able to dig out pretty quickly from it, but definitely from where we were at the start of Q2 in May to where we are now, we are slightly up in the backlog.
I wonder if there's anything from the product side or just process side to the company that we know holidays are going to be a boon. So is there anything we can do to preempt that and make those type of tasks quicker, whether it's pre-built forms or slide templates or anything? I'd be curious to know if there's something we could do to scale that out a little better.
I mean, it's definitely a lot of the automation stuff. So with like Toyota, we have the certified asset manager that goes through and allows Toyota to push stuff to us where we don't have to touch those slides. But as we're adding in more OEMs, we're definitely getting a lot more push and a lot more things that come in last minute that definitely are impactful for us. Acura is, we obviously don't have a lot of Acura sites that are live yet, but they have several times pushed things to us at 3, 4, 4:30 in the afternoon on the Friday that we need to apply to all sites. It has to work its way through design and get back to us. So definitely things there that are more on the OEM side are what's impacting a lot of these. That's stuff that we have to pull a lot of people onto these projects to get Volkswagen slides added to all the sites and stuff like that in a really short period of time, and that pushes back all the other cases as well as a result. So definitely anything we can do for the automation,
Sure.
And bulk tasks are huge.
So bulk management for slides would be one of your top item requests from support then, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, we have 2 or 3 cases right now to add and change sites to VW sites that we have 5 or 6 people working on to get that completed, and they're spending hours working on that. So it definitely is a huge thing for us.
Cool. So we'll mark that down as something we'll prioritize going into at least next quarter, or if we can fit it in quickly. But we know it's something we want to touch on, and it's been in the plan anyway. Just maybe bump it up within the bulk management phase. Cool. We'll go on next.
So these are just kind of some other charts to kind of show where we came from. Just because a lot of people don't necessarily see support numbers on a regular basis. Customer satisfaction overall, we are trending up for the year. We're still averaging right around like a 93, 94-ish%. So things definitely gotten better. You can definitely see from the spike of cases we had around July 4th that the CSAT drops, but overall it's trending up. And we are slowly pushing our close time down, which is good to see. Our backlog is overall on average pretty much steady right around the 350 mark. We have our spikes, but overall we're holding that. Same-day case closures definitely has been a thing that we're striving towards from the feedback from account managers and sales, that we're trying to work and push that number up, which it is slowly trending up for the year. At the start of the year, we were closer to about a 44%. So we're seeing some good movement there.
Sure.
Okay. And then here, just kind of looking, this is more the backlog of where we're at. Obviously, we had the big spike on the 4th of July. The big things here, if we look at, are the backlog age. Our engineering cases are taking longer and longer to complete, as well as data services. So our team in Russia that works on the support side, their cases are taking longer to complete. And then the engineering side, we're averaging right now about 113 days to complete an engineering task, which is a long time to get those things completed. So that's one of the things that we're concerned about and working through as well. And those numbers do factor in eCarList side. Obviously, website support handles both eCarList and DealerFire, but both products are historically taking longer to complete engineering tasks than they did at the start of the year. So this slide is looking at case reasons. Again, this information not super accurate because of the way the case structures were set up. So as we get our new case reasons in place, that should be live the next day or so. This should get us better information as we go forward, which obviously will be more impactful. But overall, Ignite is definitely a big part of it. New problem kind of was a catch-all for things either that agents haven't seen or that necessarily fit into normal categories. So those are kind of the standard things here that we're seeing. Navigation, homepage changes, and inventory changes kind of are the big components of cases that end up going to engineering. So those are the ones that we can't necessarily fix on the support side on our own.
Got it. So I think that's something to note there, is the need to be able to change home pages more easily is something we can help prioritize some of our bigger product initiatives.
Agreed.
Where does I'd be curious to know where Form Builder fits into this, or form changes, I guess, form building. Is that something I'm missing here? Because I assume that'd be
this is only cases that are sent to engineering. So these are only ones related to defects. So any forms we don't have to send, except for credit application changes, just go to data services. The support team does those on their own. So this one is just looking at cases, the percentages, what are the reasons, the stuff we send, that roll up to you guys.
Okay. Oops.
And then this one, obviously the numbers are really hard to see. Just kind of break down the actual percentage of total cases that we have. So obviously design is a big part of the work that we have, since that's included. And then Ignite changes go through, and kind of it flows through. So as we do the case reasons, I think that's definitely going to help us, where we actually can break down forms a little bit more. Right now, a lot of the form stuff, they're kind of rolled into CLPs itself. So that's kind of one there that we'll get some better data for next time. Yeah,
I see that lead form is here. So there's several. It'd be nice to be able to at some point group those together. I think we realized, though, that one way or another, the ability to more easily change forms would be a huge, at least internal win, if not external.
For sure. And this is just the actual amount of time that's spent. Obviously, the design department is added into this because they're tracked through our metrics still. But the actual amount of time that we're spending in our cases. So design roughly is a big chunk. And then the rest of the numbers there, it's too small for me to actually see on there from here. But that's just kind of the breakdown of where our time is actually spent. Once we get the new case reasons in for next time, this will be a lot easier to actually see some good representative numbers.
Sure.
So kind of like I said, our next steps on the support side, just so we're all kind of clear, we have our case reasons cleanup that was all submitted to the Flux team yesterday. So that should be getting done so that as we go through our process through October, we should have new data going forward. We are sending out a much more thorough documentation to the support team so that they understand what case reasons they should be using when and where, and also to break down whether one of the breaks down the case reasons of whether it was a request for a change, if it was a request for training, if it was a defect. We'll have a lot more ways we can actually track that information by using the same case reason. So by using the case reason and case type, we'll have a lot more better information. Some of the other things that we're working on our side to help some of the engineering processes, working with the engineering team on the eCarless side. That whole process that we used kind of dissolved. And we, on the website, customer support side, we weren't really involved in that process, so we kind of got left behind. So we're trying to work through with David and Jeff Langer to try to come up with what that process is going to look like for the next year as we're still supporting the process on eCarless. And then still working on the dealer fire side as well to make sure that we're trying to prioritize their defects that are the most important and getting progress on them.
That's something we might need to do one more training, or at least collab with the product team and support team on defect escalation. That'll become extremely important in the next quarter, as you're about to see a little bit later in the presentation, as far as time we have allocated towards being able to even work on defects. And so I think everybody getting on the same page for how important a defect is and how that influences the backlog, product backlog, and priorities will be very important. So we'll make that a kind of an action item, is to meet, get teams together and talk through that a little bit more.
Perfect. That's what we've got on the support side.
Cool. Thanks, man. So as far as retention goes, I threw in a few slides here. Again, retention from a company standpoint or a business standpoint isn't where it needs to be. I think if you looked at the trend over the summer, we've actually done better than we have, but I don't think we're yet to where we need to be. And I think potentially, depending on how cancellation terms work, we'll see a bigger increase now, because if they did cancel in the summer, there's a 90-day out, and so it won't hit till later. But trend is better, but we need to continue to improve here. So again, product fault here wasn't as big as I even maybe thought it would be. I don't know at this point if we're doing a great job, or maybe Leif can speak to, I don't know, classification has improved. I knew before when we'd gone through with like Mikel, that things weren't how they need to be. Is this pretty accurate, you think, or?
I'm in the car, so I can't. I can't see, but I'm almost to my desk, so I'll be able to check it out soon.
Yeah, cool. Leif, in the meantime, is just giving us a quick answer as far as how they've been able to classify it.
We've been taking a much more active role classifying themselves now. So I think the data will look a lot cleaner than we did in the past. But just off the top of my head, it looks genuinely correct.
Relatively accurate. Okay. Something I would like to continue to do, I think we just did it the other day, is on a monthly basis, drop in and get a little more granular into the product side at the very least, maybe even all of it, because maybe product can solve problems that aren't the product's fault in some ways. But it would be good to see like actual legit reasons, and so we can map that to products that are functionality that we do come out with.
That's the biggest problem with this.
Mm-hmm.
That's not accurate at all. That's kind of a catch-all in the past. Probably as we went through the transition, there were a lot of cancellations that happened that we never actually talked to the dealer to find out
what happened. Yeah.
So they lumped them into the decision. That will never be used going forward. Very rarely used.
Sure.
That kind of skewed this graph. That's the reason why.
Yeah.
What period is this?
The last 90 or something like that. Yeah, whatever's in the Heartbeat. I just grabbed it straight from Heartbeat. I don't know what the default setting is on the Heartbeat dashboard.
So maximum 72.
Just
put it into the rest of the
relatively evenly distributed throughout those. Okay. Yeah, I think that's something we should make more regular, is a meeting between our teams to go over those specifically and figure out how we can address those. Same thing. So this is that trend where we're actually trending better than what we were, but I don't know if we're expecting September to then jump right back up because these 90-day cancels in August or April. Yeah. Worse than January, February?
It's going to fall as quickly
Okay, so right up there. Worth talking about if there's any like big reasons, like top 3 reasons people are canceling today. Yeah.
Essentially, Scion being discontinued, we lost a ton of those, and that's finally coming to an end. Obviously, compliance, that's been a big thing. Touchdown support stuff, customization, people wanting more control over the changes they can make. Not sure that support is able to do it enough. That's been an issue.
Sure.
Cost cutting and seasonality. Program sites, I think the ease of which you can cancel program site and program.
Oh yeah. Volatile.
People just they shop all over the place. And then tier 2 sites, we've now basically lost all of the tier 2 sites, the Omnis of the world, which just never really.
Might be for the best. Yeah.
Might be for the best. You probably should put on because they're just
different beasts. Yeah. So that's all I put in for attention. And either from the AM side of things, anything you want to talk about, or
that's really it. I mean, it's a wide variety of things that we're seeing. September, like I said, I think just when a lot of things fell. The actual decommission dates, we're all just falling in September. So yeah, summer was good, but we kind of knew this was going to be a rough month. We anticipated stabilizing again.
Okay, good. So that's it from unless anybody else has anything to talk about from the kind of operations or product influenced things. So anything else to talk about from whether production has any requests or concerns on anything, or anything else about any of the other departments that we should talk about?
Well, going back to sales, I hate to jump back that far, but what I'm hearing from Canada as far as why their sales are going as well is pretty much product related, because we don't have any kind of AIS type rebate program. We're hopefully going to get something. The French translations have been a big one. We just put together a quote for that and submitted that, so hopefully that's going to get itself. But they're having problems selling in that area.
Sure.
Primarily French, everybody wants a translation.
From a product perspective, we have a placeholder for French, or for a different language that we can utilize, correct? So we just really need the translations themselves.
We have Russian, Spanish, and we used to have a separate placeholder for it. That's going to have to be added.
Okay, so we do need to do something there. Okay, so a new.
I'm responsive. We limit it to Russian and Spanish.
Okay, so I remember there used to be a French and Polish and something else. Yeah, and generic. I mean, we should mark that down as an action item. I think Kevin is taking notes. Thank you, Kevin. Love you.
Just to piggyback on the dates, I forgot to mention that.
Yep.
That's a monster. The program sites that are launching, like Mercedes Benz, we don't have any solution for current sites. People are seeing that we're framing in something from the Mercedes corporate site, which is as other dealers, those kind of things. Absolutely huge. And I'm sure sales will agree with probably missing deals because we lack that piece. I know it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming, and within this presentation, we'll get on that a little bit. But yeah, absolutely, that's one of our identified biggest challenges to date. And then give you some status updates on that. So next is kind of a market analysis. So I wanted to take a step back from the Dealer Fire day to day and just see if you guys are up to date on what I think is one of the biggest kind of challenges. So Wagner, one of the biggest challenges in our space outside of just dealership world, which is the disruptors. So this isn't Dealer Fire or DealerSocket specific per se, but I think ultimately it could be. So you guys are up to date on like the BPs, Carvanas, Vrooms of the world. Everyone kind of know what they are. I don't know. A lot of people wouldn't have a reason to know these per se. So there's all these new startups that are coming out that are basically, we call them almost like a disintermediator, but really all they really are is a new kind of car dealership. So BP, for instance, is kind of just like a portal where they help customers connect with customers to sell used cars to each other. So I can put my car on BP through their certification program and then they host the car kind of like eBay, and then dealers or the customers shop there and then buy the car. So that again kind of disintermediates dealers, because normally a used car generally goes back to a dealership where a dealership would resell it. So this is taking away market share and revenue from dealers. Carvana, a little different. They're starting to actually own the cars themselves. So they're buying up dealerships in some cases, and they even have gone so far to have a vending machine. So what you see here in the picture is a vending machine. You go to that vending machine, you can purchase the car, and it literally transport the car down to you so you can take it or test drive it or whatever. So again, it's just another way that these people are disintermediating the dealers. And I'll talk about how fundamentally they're doing it in a minute. And then Vroom is another one. I believe they are the ones that are in Texas, and they just purchased Texas Cars Direct or Texas Direct, or anyway, huge used car dealer in Texas, one of the biggest ones. So again, instead of just being the online player, they're starting to buy up actual inventory, which is interesting and I think going to be difficult. But so what I think they're doing better than anybody else, and why they're actually gaining some traction and getting $160 million, another round of $50 million, $300 million in funding, isn't necessarily the technology. It's not the access to inventory. What I think they do better than anyone else in the space is they match what they do to the customer expectations. And so in all of these instances, or at least most of them, there's not generally a lot other than the vending machine model, right? So normally it's just you shop online. And so what that means is that there's another kind of the next level of merchandising that it requires to be able to get somebody to be comfortable with kind of taking a next step online without necessarily test driving a car. Of course, within the model, they allow for like a 7-day return policy. So you can do the down payment, do the paperwork, get the car, then return it, which replaces the test drive. But nonetheless, I think what they do awesome is merchandise the car. Now, I should pull up on a website because you'll be able to see it, but a little homework. I would advise all of you to go to Carvana or Vroom.com today and just go look at a car, like as if you were shopping for a car. But some notable things they do is, one, they have actual pricing on the website. Two, there's a really, really in-depth write-up of the car, and then the media player is like an interactive 360 walk around where you can drag and zoom in, and then if there's a cool feature about the car, there's a call out in the image, you click it, it zooms in and shows you that feature. If there's a ding or a dent or a scratch or a wear and tear, it calls those things out. So again, just think about if you were shopping on Amazon, you're only comfortable doing it because you're very comfortable with what you're going to get in return, because they're new products. But with used cars, there's a whole other hurdle, and to overcome that, you have to overemphasize the story of the vehicle, the history of the vehicle, and the condition of the vehicle itself. Somebody say something? Or sneeze? Somebody must have sneezed. So anyway, I think that's somewhere where we need to be able to address sooner than later. I think it's going to be an arms race to allow dealers to do this, because one of the next frontiers we have in our space is digital retail. You've heard us talk about it for the last 2-3 quarters as we started to scope it out and work on it, but I think it's a hurdle we also need to solve and need to help dealers understand that they need to solve before it's too late. And then I wanted to throw in the Amazon vehicles. I don't know if everybody's seen this, and certainly content has run into this, but Amazon now has a portal of a ton of research for almost any year, make, model, trim combination that you can imagine. It's not all unique, obviously, but they are quickly becoming someone who is positioned to be a top competitor in the space. So I think we need to, again, help dealers position against these people. So I think dealers as a model hold some weight because they're so accessible. They have service centers, of course. You can't take your car back to BP or Carvana. The person that services it is the one that sold it to you. There's a lot of convenience there and accountability. So I think there are benefits to the current model that we have, but we need to do a better job of helping the dealers kind of adjust to the market itself. And that's where these people really excel. It's not necessarily the purchasing online or the vending machine or the technology. It's more of the process, which is enabled by some of those technologies, but worth noting, I think, hopefully. So then we'll cruise through this, but what we did in preparation for this meeting and some other ones is did like a synopsis of our main competitors. So I'll just run through these. It's kind of contextual, but we'll do it quickly since you all hopefully have a good understanding. We have Dealer.com, who I think has really done a decent job on the tech side of turning it around, I would say. Their website front end is starting to look a lot better than it ever has. They're doing probably not as good as a job as customizations, but there are now choices on the back or in the front end design that help them compete against us. Really robust back end. They're probably doing the best job for allowing dealers to customize at least the homepage of the site. and they have the best front end or the best digital retail options as far as Make My Deal and their own homegrown option that are built into the sites, which I know are kind of hurting. Of course, we have Inspire, who is more functionality and front end focused. They do a really good job of making the sites look cool. I think I crossed some lines here because I don't think they have a perfect or a good drag and drop homepage. I think that got carried over wrong. So that's what they don't have, is the back end isn't probably as easy to use for a novice user, but they do have WordPress, which allows a more experienced developer to get in there and start hacking around. Front end's really good, but again, back end has some work, and they do have their own digital retail plugin. I guess the other thing to note is they build a bunch of other stuff, right? Their chat tool, and some of the other like tertiary features that they have. DealerOn, I think very similar to us. I think if you were to compare the two of us, we're almost on the same spot. They compete on a data A/B testing basis a little more than we do, so I think that helps them in some ways. Very obviously, the lead guarantee thing is the thing. Who knows how legit it is, but they live and die by it. And I know they're building a digital retail. Dealer reprocess is falling off the charts as far as I see. I don't know, account management, do we lose any deals to dealer reprocess anymore? I don't remember the last time I saw them come up in a conversation. For a while, they were right there with us, and I don't know what the hell happened, to be honest. They just kind of fell off the mark. I know they're building digital retail and kind of some other, again, plugins for car trade-in and service tools and whatnot, but definitely fallen off the map a little bit. Then CDK, which I think is another story of somebody making a bit of a comeback. I don't know if it's been received in the market so well, but their designs are getting better. I saw some of their newer sites come out and they look decent. Their back end is actually halfway decent. You can drag and drop, edit some things on the homepage. They have a lot of data because they have a lot of dealers because they have a contract with GM. So that's kind of, and they are building digital retail, which actually has some connections or integrations with their back end, which is kind of our main advantage. So they're building the same path as us. And then this one I thought was worth bringing up for one specific reason is they do page speed extremely well. So I think we've lost a few dealers, and I know sales had some hurdles and kind of challenging on the basis of speed alone. Their sites look okay. They're not like super cool or anything, but they're clean, I think, which helps with the speed. We did a lot of research to find out that they do use Cloudflare for speed. So we have some options as far as if we wanted to just mimic what they're doing, we could and virtually match their speed, but there are some cost prohibitors on that line. So I think throughout there, we just learned a few things when we just looked at those competitors going through. One, we have some opportunities. We could better our consumer experience. Back end could use some more work as far as being able to do some drag and drop and or form building. Site speed could be improved. Although I think we're on pace with the market. It's just we're more as the one that's outpacing everybody else. Why does my mouse keep disappearing? Back. Again, on the back end, to allow for more customization, probably on the dealer side, but even make it easier on support. So if a dealer can't do it, at least we can do it quickly. Analytics and reporting could use a boost. General functionality like digital retail and shop by features is something that we've kind of pointed out. Some SEO gains, and then of course merchandising, which we just kind of talked about as far as being able to show off your inventory a little better. So I did want to take a minute and have everybody or anybody that wants to chime in on these rankings. So these rankings were done by the product team, trying to be with some feedback from a couple of salespeople who chipped in, trying to be as honest with ourselves as possible. Does anybody see anything here they disagree with for the most part?
Hey, Aaron, this is Todd. I had to take another call. It's month end here. So on the SEO component, why is Inspire excellent and we are in the good category?
So on all of these, we tried to, at least for each category, pick the best person within the category at one or two. So the only reason that I think we had chose to put Inspire as an excellent is because they do a better job with schema than we have in the past, and they've used that to sell against us. Realistically, and this doesn't count digital marketing as SEO. This is just the core like technical product that we have.
Gotcha. Yep.
So not including that, I think we could increase do a little better job implementing schema and probably a little bit of work with breadcrumbs. But I think other than that, we're in a pretty good place. So I think if we just fix that, we would bop right back up to an excellent or to a excellent. So that was kind of the justification. Certainly open to discussing more. Let's see, probably Giro. Oh yeah, DealerOn, we had updated to excellent too. I think this is a slightly old. Oh boy. Let me reshare my screen. You broke it, Jero.
Sorry about that. I do that from time to time.
Here we are. Can everybody see the screen again?
Yeah, and then I would also ask. Then I see Drew mentioned that he would consider DealerOn in the excellent. I mean, I haven't run into this where either of these platforms, at least from a competitive, that we're losing deals because of SEO to those two, but I could be wrong.
Well, I mean, that's great feedback. So we don't have quite as in-depth of a view as you. I think we could also ask account management as far as losing deals on SEO. I don't know if it's huge. So very specifically, I remember Eric Giroux talking about DealerOn, again, because of schema. So right now for their their car listings, they've used schema to insert vehicle star ratings into the SERPs, which gives them at least a little bit of an advantage perceptually with dealers. I'm not sure it actually necessarily helps their customers sell more cars, but it might. So I think that very specifically is why they on the schema front as well. Now we've made improvements to schema as well, and I think there's some that are about ready to roll out. But that's why I think what we do want to open all of this up to discussion, because this should be more than product ranking, because you guys a lot of times have more insight than we do. So I think whether it's in this session or in another, we should continue to go over it today, and then maybe even dig in further. So I have a meeting with Vista to present this on the 14th of October. So I'd love to perfect it with everybody's input by the 14th.
Yeah, I mean,
I think this is pretty honest, and I think that's probably what they need to see as far as where we need to improve and what's kind of holding us back and things like that. So from the Vista perspective, I think showing, hey, you know what, this is what the industry looks like right now. This is where we're kind of shaking out, and obviously we want to get back to the goods and the excellence, and that's what product council is for, and that's what the development meetings are for, and that's what you guys are working on. So yeah, I think an honest approach is the best way to go.
I agree. If this is for Vista, I think you definitely want to make sure that that they see some of the challenges we're facing from a product perspective.
Yeah, it just needs to reflect like reality in the market too. So if we don't want to like underdog ourselves and say we're terrible just so we can show false improvement. I mean, on the product side, we love to try to under promise and over deliver, but we're terrible at it. So this is a chance, at least on the market side, to set the record straight. So I still think we don't necessarily underscore ourselves if we don't think it's necessary, but let's be like truly honest on everything. So I think that's good feedback. So if anybody has anything more specific, I know Calvin was about to bring something up, and I think it was a question for Todd and Andrew. So I'll relay that since you probably can't hear him.
Yeah, and obviously, separate ourselves. I want to say there's like the site speed stuff, like how are we combating things like that? Because it seems to me that Inspire and DealerOn are showing people their SEO is better. I don't think that you do a great job of showcasing sites before they go out of the content that we provide.
Yeah.
The sites maybe not doesn't matter as much.
So I guess to rephrase a little bit, Todd and Andrew, what would you say are the top categories here that we actually have to compete on versus our competitors? If you had to pick like 3 to 5.
Incentives, probably the number one thing we're hearing right now. Digital retailing. I think content, because that all ties into SEO, and whenever somebody does SEO rankings and things like that, I think we need to stay ahead of the curve on that one. And then customization, the ability to customize that homepage. I think those are the biggest ones. Todd, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I mean, I think that's pretty spot on.
Sure. So when it comes to customization today, are you fighting back when that's challenged based on our support team's capabilities and not so much the platform's capabilities?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely what we're overcoming it with. But then, Dealer Inspire is winning them for the reason that they say, yeah, we basically give you the keys to the kingdom, and you've got the customization, you've got the ability to make changes on the homepage, log in, do whatever you need to do. And that's I don't want to say they're setting the industry standard, but they're sure trying.
Sure.
And I think that's the message they're getting out to the public. And that's what people are saying, well, damn, that's what I want. That's the stuff, you know, and we're not able to do it. We say, yeah, we have a lot of customization. We've got a support team. We've got a lot of access on the back end, but yeah, you're a bit limited on your homepage. Oh, yeah, we need to be able to do, you know, we need to do that or do SRP, custom SRPs. Like,
okay, so things like SEO and site speed, you don't run into too often as a challenge on a sale?
Not really.
No? Okay,
No,
so I
it's
think
definitely more the retailing. You know, Dealer.com's pushing that heavy with the digital retailing and being able to pick up all that good stuff. And then the customization on the Dealer Inspire, you know, they're just the hipper, cooler company is the image they're putting out there. And, you know, any dealers we talk to, especially ones that work with ad agencies, just eat that stuff up. They absolutely eat it up, and they're just loving it. And that's the thing. They're like, we lost the Future Group because of that to Dealer Inspire, because they sold them on that customization. They worked with an ad agency, and the ad agency said, we need access, and we need to be able to do this. And they say, well, you got it. So they won the deal. But the other stuff, not so much. It's really that, and then automated incentives because of the CDK, Dealer.com relationships. That's become quite a challenge for us.
Yeah, I mean, we just lost a 4-store group again to digital retailing. I think that what would help us a great deal is for us to get a really strong message around and the folks we just lost this deal to are on our CRM. So I don't know if we need case studies or what, and maybe we just all need to sit in a room and really talk through it. We should not lose a deal when they're on our CRM, unless it's an OEM mandate. You know, that's the only time, in my opinion, that we should lose that deal. And I just think we need to get really strong talk tracks on it, especially now with Blackbird. I mean, you know, it was interesting, Aaron. The message yesterday or the last couple of days with Blackbird is it's a fully responsive, custom, intuitive search bar. It mimics the e-commerce experience. I mean, it's really interesting to hear how they were describing and selling Blackbird, and you know, it really mirrors our message in a lot of ways. And I don't know. I think we just need to brainstorm and how we shouldn't be losing deals when they're on our CRM. You know, it's hard for me to grasp, and I think we're getting outsold there.
Sure. I think something as a semi-action item pending time, schedules, budget is getting a super group, or at least from this group, because this is what this meeting is kind of for. But I think if we want to get more specific, we could get the director level and above all in the same room. I mean, we'd love to have you guys up to Oshkosh. That might be the easiest way to get it done and actually talk this out more specifically. I think we know a lot of the things anyway. Hopefully we're staying in touch enough with you guys and asking the right questions, but I don't think it would be a bad idea to put us all in a room and really go at it for a day.
I'm game. I'm actually going to be in Oshkosh probably the third or fourth week of October for the second week of product trading for this next class. We have 6 in our next class, by the way.
Cool. Shoot me a date on that. My travel schedule is a little nuts the next 2 months, but I try to fit something in if I can make it work.
All right.
I'll be in territory in Texas that week, but if we could figure something out, I could either jump on a call or whatever. I mean, I'll make myself available.
Sure. So we kind of went through the needs, whether it's from an operational standpoint, competitive standpoint, and anything in between. And so I want to talk about how we're going to adjust to this. So this is where the stack ranking comes in and what we're going to plan on delivering or working on in Q4. And I think hopefully it mirrors a lot of the things you've talked about, and it will certainly address our weaknesses with the grid. So here are the kind of blank requests that we get most often when we stack rank what everybody asks for. I'll just go through these pretty quickly. Incentives and this is in no particular order, but I think there is some somehow or another it magically end up that it might be from almost most important to least important. But incentives and rebates, we need to have the ability to dynamically show pricing adjustments and bulletin data and state requirement data layouts sooner than later. So we know we've been working on this. I think we finally picked a data provider. It's just a matter of doing some tweaks on the front end and then picking a delivery method from a data provider to get that done.
Aaron, we're still seeing the website competitive analysis dot grid.
Why? How about now?
Got it. We're seeing the
Incentives, rebates? No?
Yep.
Got it. Sorry about that. So yeah, incentives and rebates, definitely an ask. We all kind of understand what it is, I think, in the room. Just the ability to dynamically update pricing based on manufacturer incentives using some sort of sound logic. Again, we'll go in these in more detail in a minute, so I don't want to get too caught up in details. But if there's a question asked. Digital retail, the ability for a consumer to be able to configure their deal by pulling in things like incentives, by pulling in or letting them adjust down payment, interest rate term, taxes, incentives, potentially F&I and some other factors, and then letting that flow in our case, to the desking and CRM tools and pulling in used car values from the inventory tool, Connected Experience, to let them go through the purchasing process online, whether that's down to a down payment, we're not quite going to be there, but all the way down to almost getting the deal approved or getting within a couple % of what they'd actually pay, and at the very least saving themselves a bunch of time at the dealership. Personalized web experience, I think we've, I don't know, that didn't come up in today's conversation so much, but I know for Inspire, the geofencing thing is pretty popular, so we know we need to do something, whether it's a pure copy of Inspire or do something just different to say that, yes, we can personalize the web experience. Hand in hand with that is some sort of A/B testing, heat mapping, for if nothing else, perception that we have a lot of data and we're making intelligent decisions on the behalf of our dealers, since they can't necessarily do these things themselves yet. Spanish sites, so I think for Spanish in particular, we know that there's not necessarily much we can do from the product side to help. It's more of an operational deficiency for actual translations today. Something we do want to improve, though, is our href Lang integration, so we can at least tag the language properly from an SEO perspective. Doesn't change the user experience much, but it's just one of those things that somebody recently picked on us for. I don't remember who it was, probably Inspire.
Yeah. Hey, so Aaron, on that front, you know, Craig Keel's obviously doing a lot of this. He's actually going to Puerto Rico at the end of the month with a couple of these CRM folks and putting a heavy press on that. So we do have some account managers or some consultants, I should say, with the recent changes that have been announced that you have Spanish as their first language, that are potentially interested in moving into some type of a role where they would be translators. I mean, is that something that, I mean, we can take this offline, but I have the names of at least 2 folks that might be interested in that type of role for us. Yeah, it probably falls either to a production or a content department, probably okay. Content. I would think we'd be interested pending getting the budget from the exec team, but I think we're showing that there's a need for that. We've actually asked for their assistance in the past, not just like not these 2 people in particular, but anybody in the company who speaks semi-fluent English or Spanish to be able to chip in, because anybody can write the translations. So yeah, that would be a good fit if it actually works out, I think. Okay. What kind of sales could we make for the next quarter or year? You know, that's what's missing, I guess, when I ask those kind of resources. Did you guys catch what Wes just said? No. So I think what he's saying is we need to do a breakdown of the opportunity and do like a business analysis on how many dealerships we'd be able to sell in by doing this, so he can justify or help justify the need to the executive team who makes the decisions on budgeting and hires. So I think if you guys could get together and formalize some sort of opportunity as far as what the market's like and how many more we project to be able to sell into, he'd have a better argument as far as getting the budget for those resources themselves.
One of the issues we're running up against, I know you said there's not much to do as far as product is concerned. That's partly not the case, as we discovered this past week. All of our templated sites, the lights and the pros right now, are built out using HTML content boxes on the home page, which does not allow us to do translations. These are going to have to be rebuilt, each and every one of them, if we are going to be doing translations on the templated sites.
Yep, so I think the solution there is to probably rebuild them and rewrite it, or have you guys rebuild the themes one way or another, you know what I mean? I don't think, yeah, I mean, we can have maybe Jesse do it. Jesse's in design. I don't know if he's going to have the bandwidth to do it. So we certainly have the option to rebuild the themes from scratch and use translations, or rebuild new theme, clone the themes and rewrite them in natively on the theme itself. That's probably our two options.
Okay. It's just, they're starting to sell these
Yep.
templates as a translate.
So within the breakdown that Wes is talking about, we should look at current backlog or queue, and then see how many of those are, and factor that into why we need to get a resource to do that. Because again, we probably won't have product support on that right away, since we do have operational means to do it, whether it's you guys taking on those themes, cloning them, or rebuilding the themes, or whatever. You guys can, those are kind of in your hands, I think, moving forward.
You're telling me that. I'll agree with
We'll talk about it afterwards, but that's my plan for themes for Engine 5 is to, especially the existing themes, you guys can support those, since you're the ones that are the consumers of them. It might be easier, and we'll just support from a new functionality standpoint. So a couple action items on foreign language, I guess. One, I'll have a conversation with Russ and related teams about who maintains the themes. That'll open up a conversation about who does translation for the themes. We need to talk about opening up a new translation language or a general translation field so we can do things like French. And then Wes needs to get with Andrew and Todd and do a business analysis, and so we can justify budget for dedicated translation resources. Done.
Yep.
So features and options filtering, dealer.com and Inspire do this. So basically this is just the ability for a customer to go, I need a sunroof in my car, I need cooled seats. Right now we literally don't really have it. If you were to search, use a live search, you might find it, but you might not, depending on the data coming in. But it's not in the search box, so we need this. So that's a need. Again, this is all this people have been asking for. Drag and drop functionality, of course, we just talked about that a lot today, whether it's on the home page of the entire site. People want to be able to control the assets on the site. A few competitors do this well already, dealer.com being the main. CDK has some of this functionality. This one was from Neil, I believe. Near real-time updates with Inventory Plus. This would help the ECL transition as well as some other cross-sell opportunities. So that's on the list of asks. HTTPS, I think this was even on Todd and Andrew's list. So this just makes our site secured, which potentially has an SEO impact and just makes them more secure in general anyway. Included in this, which I don't think we broke out separately, is HTTP2, which is a new protocol which changes the way that browsers load sites, which makes them load faster. So I'm kind of grouping those together. New themes. So this is ones we can talk about. Andrew and Todd, do you feel like, or Neil, do you feel like on the, let's start on the franchise side, that our site designs are holding us back from a sales perspective at times?
I think the designs are still good. I don't think the designs are holding us back. People are liking the new designs that are coming out. The new VDPs are going over really well. I think it just comes down to the ability to take it the next step from the dealer's perspective on the customization. I don't think the designs themselves are bad. I think maybe giving a little bit more input to the dealers. I know some of the builders do it, but maybe we try to incorporate more of like the, you know, this is what really works well. I think you should do this, Mr. Dealer, as opposed to pick this, this, or that. Maybe guiding a little bit more of the custom approach, which I know is difficult for us because we're so backed up and short-staffed. But I think that's something that dealers really appreciate, and they gravitate towards that type of ability.
Sure. And so that's more probably homepage specific. Do we feel like, is the homepage the most important, influential piece in a website sale as far as looks and functionality goes still?
That's the VDP. The VDP SRP homepage. I mean, those are the most important. Everybody always says, "Let me see your VDP." Okay. And what can I do with it? What can I do with it? Can I put a button here? Can I do that? Can I make it this? Can I make it that? Can I? You know, I sent an email yesterday where the customer was asking, "Can I put these different headers for the specs on the bottom?" You know, and it's, well, kind of, we can do something similar. And I think people like to see VDPs, and they like dealer.com's VDPs, and they like other companies' SRPs. Yeah.
So yeah, I think dealer.com's VDP, I've heard a lot about Dealer Inspire's SRP, I guess.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so that is kind of the initiative that we came up with. We'll dive into this in a minute, but we thought homepage SRP VDP redesign, as far as a theme goes, which could be, so any homepage redesign can still be custom, but we want to help give maybe some new modules or some guidance on there, header, footer, as a new option. But certainly SRP VDP option, I think would be worth our time, but we can talk about it. But we're kind of, at this point, planning on it, but I'll talk about that in a minute. Form Builder, especially from an operations standpoint, although I think we either just lost a sale or one of the big contentions in a point of sale was the ability for the dealer to be able to edit form. This is also in the FCA RFP. I don't know if everyone's aware. FCA is going to open up their program, and we're pitching to be a part of that, as well as Mazda, which will help some of our retention problems with Mazda. So hopefully we can get those deals, but the FCA one has drag and drop in Form Builder as to requirements of the program, so that's a thing. Carefully, I'm basically just lying. We have drag and drop functionality. It's just not homepage, right? We can drag and drop the slider and coupon order and things like that. So layout is just the exception right now. FCA means Fiat Chrysler for those that don't know. I just saw a note from Mark from before. He was asking, as far as a competitive grid, does anybody think any of our main kind of feature categories we deserve an excellent in? If any were going to be there, I'd probably say SEO. We still probably do the best job as far as making sure that meta information, URLs, and all alt tags and all that line up, where still our competitors don't always do that, and those are the basics. I think when we get into schema, that's a layer on top, but I think the normal SEO strategy that we have still trumps schema from an practicality and implementation standpoint. So if I was going to give us any of those, I would say SEO, and especially if you factor in the fact that we do content, but there's still room for improvement. So I don't know. It's hard for me to want to say we're excellent and can't improve more in that area.
Yeah, I think you're right. We're borderline, and we can get there. I believe in that category.
Yeah, I think so too. So Form Builder, we need this. It's a request from sales, from customers directly, and from OEMs. Page speed, I knew Remora has been a pain in the butt on some deals, at the very least, that have flown up to me. So it's something that I've been on the list and we need to potentially address. And so here are all of the things in a list. The categories here are kind of which projects they are, how big we estimated they are from a programming standpoint, who would own these projects, and when we think we can deliver them. So this is kind of sneak peeking a little bit. So all of those features we just looked at are on the list. And so anything above this, what we call a waterline here, are things we're actually planning on delivering or working on in Q4 and delivering within either Q4 or Q1. So first, the quick wins from personalized sites and A/B testing. We found a partner in, I believe it's VWO, I always mess this up, that we can allow simple front-end editing of their sites. It also includes heat mapping and personalization elements. So we can integrate with them with some minor testing and then have this up and running within potentially weeks. So each customer who wants to do this would have to get an account and sign in via their back end. This wouldn't be in our back end, but we could upsell and or maybe even include this as a value add depending. So we don't know what we're going to do for pricing yet, but we could within weeks be able to have an answer to all these people talking about personalization. It will likely be easier than what other people do. It does require a separate login. It's so easy, like we can do a demo at some point, but you can literally sign into this thing, visit your own website, click on a button, and just pick a new color for the button. Zero code. You can drag elements around the page. It's pretty cool. Anyway, so that will do A/B testing on those changes you make. You can also write rules and say, for Google, if this is a returning visitor, I want to have this module disappear. I want it to say this instead. You can write tons of rules based on Google Analytics. You can have different people coming from different towns, get a different message or a different layout or module. So pretty powerful, and I think a good instant win. Otherwise, if we were to build this natively, it would take a long time. And we know that we want to start hitting the market a little faster. Digital retail, we're working on delivering Q1. We should be MVP code complete in Q4. So by NADA, we're going to be selling this thing. So I think that's a win. So we can start potentially hyping it up pre-launch. I know Eric and I are doing 3 or 4 presentations regarding digital retail. We did one at Digital Dealer. We're doing one at User Summit, one is Executive Summit. And we've talked to several OEMs about it. So I think we can hopefully get people to stop buying the current digital retails and wait for ours. And I know several dealers have actually asked our opinion on that and are doing so. So that's a win.
Hey, Aaron. Sorry, this is Renee. Jennifer Lee is actually going to be sneaking digital retailing at User Summit as well. So that could potentially help.
That's right. Forgot about that. So yeah, just another way for us to, while we can't deliver it right now, we can at least get people to stop buying others. So when we do deliver it, there's more of an
So I know we had talked that initially they had to have our desking, obviously CRM and desking solution for it to work. I mean, we going to have a light version for those that aren't there, Aaron, or is that still up in the air?
Still a little up in the air. We had some specific conversations when I was in Dallas last week about trying to open that up a little bit, and we started looking at crossover. So potentially we could do this without having to have desking, but from the get-go, they'd have to have CRM and website. Jennifer Lee dug up some numbers and says we have something like 1,200 customers we could sell this into immediately.
1,200 customers have CRM and website, or have CRM and desking, and 100 customers have CRM, desking, and website.
Yeah, so from a white space, we would want to attack the people that have desking and CRM already and sell website / digital retail to them. So using the digital retail, almost reversing the roles, we would use digital retail as a way to sell them website, whereas most people probably assume you would use website to sell digital retail. So that is going to be the immediate opportunity. We could also make this work without the desking piece, but there might be a higher charge involved potentially, or maybe not. We just have to figure out how to leverage the desking API because it still does all the calculations. But so those are the two things that we've made progress on as far as at least strategy pieces. We have not yet figured out a way to sell it if people do not have our CRM and don't have desking. We could potentially do it and just deliver this as a lead, but I think we want to do that secondary to kind of fortifying the white space opportunity.
Okay, cool.
But more conversation surrounding that, I think, is necessary and will happen. So option equipment filters being on the SRP, say I want a car with a sunroof or heated seats or whatever. Coming, Kevin in charge of that. HTTPS/2, working on it already. Will be delivered in Q4, which I think will be something unique that we can talk about that others haven't adapted to yet. So again, while page speed and HTTPS may not be the front runners and what people are looking for, I think it's an opportunity we have to create a need that people will then run to their other providers and be like, can you do this? Do you have this? So not always should we be addressing our biggest challenges as far as what our competitors are doing, but I think we should be creating challenges for them and finding unique ways to challenge their programming departments at times. I think that's one of the ways we can do it. New themes. So we do want to build a new SRP VDP homepage. I think some of the building new modules on those pages will get us over the hump. A lot of times when I get involved with the deal, it's this dealer really likes dealer inspires SRP. Can we make ours look like theirs? They really like dealer.com's VDP. Can we do this? Usually the answer is no. And I think if you look back into support cases, into account management, biggest pieces, it's being able to customize. So while we're not there on customization yet, we can at least preempt a lot of the requests and build a theme that helps account for those. And then page speed kind of flows into that as well. On this new theme we build, we're going to rebuild it with kind of best practices and maybe take some general architecture moves to make our whole platform faster. But at least the new sites will be built with speed in mind. So those are the features taking into Q4 we know we're going to build. Some of them will be delivered within Q4. Some of them will have to wait until Q1. The reason why we're kind of shifting our mentality, and I guess I'll preempt the shifting mentality, before we were actually taking resources off of Engine 5 to build Engine 6 faster. We see that the trends in retention and sales aren't what we'd like to be. And since Engine 6 wasn't going to be ready in a quick enough time to turn it around, we have reversed course and are keeping people on Engine 5 so that immediately there's some reprieve for all of you that lives depend on retention and sales. So that's kind of the initiative we're taking here. We're not stopping work on Engine 6. And so you see the two under the waterline are two bigger feature requests that are Engine 6 specific. So we'll continue to work on those, but we wanted to address the market in a speedy way. We wanted to dedicate more resources to helping us sell now. And so that's why we're doing a lot of these features immediately, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Can you speak a little bit to why it's the disconnect between this message and the message that comes down from the executive team?
So yeah, I can very specifically. So they were looking at a status sheet that we had given up on a while ago, and we didn't know it. So we had an on-track message on a status sheet from like 2 or 3 months ago where Jonathan and Cameron both got there. status of engine 6. So that's why they've been saying it's coming by the end of the year. It's coming by the end of the year, because that was the initial plan. We can get into why that wasn't going to be the reality and why we're making these adjustments in a minute, but that's why they're saying what they're saying. If you read Jonathan's last email, you'll see that he's kind of reversed course and said, we're making progress on this platform, and he didn't say it's coming. To be brutally honest with you, that's kind of what it was. So these are the initiatives going into Q4, as far as hopefully half of them deliver within Q4, half within early Q1, which means by NADA we'll have a bunch of fresh new functionality to sell and kind of turn and not only sell but help keep customers around. So I do want to illustrate something on the fly quick. So I know we get a lot of requests. This is going to look awful. Let me see if I can. I don't know why I didn't do this earlier. So we get a lot of requests throughout a quarter just to stop what we're doing and do this because a dealer really needs it, or support really needs this, or whatever. Just little dinks and dunks of these little projects that only take us a week to do. So I wanted to illustrate even further. Can you guys see my spreadsheet or no?
No, we're looking at a black screen with part of the, there we go.
All right. So this illustrates the level of planning that kind of goes into a quarter when we're talking about dedicating ourselves to initiatives like this off the bat. So what I want to do is start deleting here. Oops, that's a slash and not an X. So what the factors that go into this, not to get, this will bore people to death sometimes. So here are the initiatives that we want to take into Q4. Here are the estimations on what the workload is per resource on the teams that have to do these things. So front-end teams, back-end teams for Nova, same with Epsilon and DevOps. These are the teams that work on Engine 5 initiatives. So here's all the estimations we have for the work itself that we want to do. Down here is how many resources we actually have. So in sprint 1, we'll have 2 resources here, 3 here. See that we're projecting that we add resources to Epsilon front end. And down here is the velocity, or how many points the average programmer within these teams can actually do. Does that all make sense? So we know how many people we have, we know how much work they can get done, we know how much it's going to take to do the initiatives that we have planned. So when you bring all of those together, you can actually map out your sprint with how many resources you have and how quickly you can get something done. I can scroll here. There we go. So now we know that these are the things we want to do, and we want to do them all. And this is how many sprints we have per quarter. So we know we want to do all of these things. So what you can do is mark off, hey, we want to do this one. We know we want to do all of them. So what you can see here is as I do this, this chart's filling in. What this chart is resources we have per sprint. So right now, I've gotten almost all the way down the list. You can see we're already into sprint Q1, sprint 1 for back-end resources for Nova, right? And so as I feather these in, you can start to see per resource how these are affected. And so why I'm showing you this is, one, so you know we're actually planning and projecting and not just saying, hey, we want to do these things and hope that we get them done. We're planning down to the, I won't say hour, but almost the hour, what people are going to be working on and when to be able to achieve this. And 2, you'll see that we have almost no room for error or buffer. So basically what I'm trying to say is, if we agree that this is the path we need to go on, which I think it is, with the things we've elected to take in here, we need to dedicate to it, stick with it, stand by it, and kind of defend it again with dealers within internal resources, because anything you take away, because we need to do something right now for this one dealer that really this or that, will blow up this entire timeline. So that's why I wanted to get into this in particular. So there is a great deal of planning and projecting that went into this and modeling. Thank you to Neil for the model. But anyway, worth noting, I thought.
So I'm sure it's been discussed, but instead of shifting resources from one to the other and back and forth, what about adding more resources? Is that been...
It's in the plan. Yeah, the problem with adding resources is that the average hire in engineering takes about, 2 months for to actually get in on the team and then starting to get trained. And so the objective when we went into this planning, which flowed all the way up to senior executives, was that we need to, by Q1, be able to sell websites better. And so we knew that we had to do something now within the quarter. So hiring new resources helps us, and we've already opened some recs, but it helps us in Q1, but not in Q4 to build for Q1. So that's kind of the answer to that. So yeah, we do have some resources. We're even stealing some from Blackbird, which is why we have some that are flowing up numbers here and hiring. Front end is our biggest issue. In engineering, we only have 3 front-end engineers on the entire engineering team. So, and a lot of the projects that we all think are the most valuable include a lot of front-end work. So that's our bottleneck that we're trying to overcome. Any major questions on this? I didn't assume there would be. The math's right, Daniil? Thanks for listening. Just checking your math on this sheet. All right, are you guys seeing my slides now again online?
Yes.
All right, so here's the home stretch. I know everyone's getting bored and wants to get back to their day jobs. So we know what we're going to do immediately. We know what the biggest need is, right? We need to be able to sell and maintain or retain websites through Q4 into Q1, no matter what. So where does that leave Engine 6, which is everyone's kind of wondering, I'm guessing, at this point. And so what we've discovered or decided about Engine 6 is that there's only one way to eat an elephant, and that's one bite at a time, right? The old proverb, I think. I tried to look up where it came from and had no luck. But so the kind of the reset and strategy on Engine 6 goes along with the driver, which is the business. So our needs from a budgeting and sales perspective are what they are. We budgeted. We need to make certain numbers to make our company prosper and grow, be able to sustain itself. And that can't be sustained if we wait until we launch every possible feature we need on Engine 6, which is what we've learned over the last 6 months. If we would have been able to deliver everything by the end of the year, we probably would have been in a better spot, right? So that was the bet we took, is if we take more time to build the long-term features now, it'll pay off more next year. But with the strategy we've taken, it's taken us a little longer than what we thought to do everything we need to do, because we have 2 parallel platforms that grow simultaneously. That makes sense? So we have it's the tortoise and the hare kind of thing, that they're moving in the same direction, but at 2 different speeds. We didn't have as many resources as we needed on engineering to build Engine 6 at a faster rate than we were building Engine 5. So we were lengthening the race for Engine 6. So there's no way we could ever deliver Engine 6 with every single possible feature, function, and capability as Engine 5 in a timely manner. So we find that unacceptable. So we kind of strategize and reset. And so instead of waiting until Engine 6 all the way done, like a snake eating the moose and then one big chunk, we're going to break it up, which we think it provides a lot of value for the business. So more specifically, you saw the 2 main asks that were Engine 6 level on this sheet, being drag and drop and form builder. I think everyone in the room would probably agree those are probably the 2 biggest things we need from Engine 6 right away that were projected as features. And so that's what we're going to do. And so instead of waiting for Engine 6 to be done, where we're using the features that we've already built out, including drag and drop and form builder being the first 3 we focused on, we're actually going to pull them into Engine 5 and something we call Twin Turbo. So instead of, again, waiting another 9 months for every single thing to be done, what we can do is early next year deliver these features into Engine 5 so we can have drag and drop homepage and potentially a form builder available on our websites. So that is our plan, and that'll continue. So then in Q2 next year, we'll pick as a team, we'll pick the new function that we want to focus on in E6 and pull that up in, and we'll be able to do it piece by piece. So again, Engine 6 isn't what, nobody asked for Engine 6, right? I didn't ask for Engine 6. You didn't ask for it. What we had is a set of needs. We needed a form builder. We needed drag and drop pages. We needed our sites to be faster. We needed scalability. So those are how we derived the need for something. Or we know those are the needs we had. And so instead of, again, waiting to deliver those all at once, all we're doing is shifting it up so it goes faster. It's still a thing. So what happens is we're not waiting to launch it all at the same time, but we're going to build it 1 piece at a time and make it live in chunks. So at some point, all existing Engine 5 functionality will be gone, but 1 piece at a time instead of all at once. Nope, there'll be a drag and drop release. There'll be a form builder release. Nope, there's not going to be one big. I mean, at some point we might do like a soft opening, which is these things, versus a grand opening, which is like ta-da of the whole thing. But yeah, it'll be piece by piece by piece. So that's the plan. Otherwise, we were waiting until the end of next year, basically, if we want to build everything we're building, including, again, so imagine when we're building all these things, now these have to be built into Engine 6. So that's another quarter we would wait to have to, because we don't have time to build on Engine 6 and Engine 5. So we'd just be prolonging Engine 6 launch. So I think as far as a market strategy, I really do think this is the way to go. I think it'll help everybody in the short term, and we'll build towards a better long term. And then again, I should have put this in here, but if we take everything we just learned and apply it to this, it puts us in a great spot. We'll have drag and drop, digital retail, form builder, so our functionality will be great. We have A/B testing and personalization, so our analytics and reporting gets better. We have a drag and drop, so customization gets better. We're working on bulk management, which isn't included in here, but scalability improves. New themes, so our consumer UI can compete better. CMS improvements, again, on drag and drop and form builder, so that competes at a higher level. Our merchandise with inventory or incentives and rebates improves. So really, we took this to heart and figured what could we compete on best, and that's what influenced our plan. And then we know what we need to do. We know why we need to do it. So we need to do these things. We need to do it to compete better in the market so we can hit our sales and retention numbers. And now we just need to deliver. And I think we will. And that's where the planning comes in. We spent a lot of time planning how many resources we had, where they came from, what they could spend their time on, what they couldn't spend their time on, product management resources. We're hiring another PO to keep Engine 5 on track and get these things pushed out. So we have Tyson on the team now to help continue to push on Engine 6 and the new builder. So I think we're in a better position than ever, and hopefully this is a better plan than Engine 6 kind of ever was from a timing perspective, because it probably never made sense to wait 2 years to have a product release. So I'm pretty excited. Hope you guys are too, especially on the sales front. I mean, every front, on the retention front. Building sites, again, should be a little bit easier. Building forms, customizing forms will get a lot easier. Anyway, we're excited. I think it's going to be a crazy quarter, and then people better be ready to sell. We're going to work more heavily strategically from a marketing perspective. So me and Danae are going to be best friends, because I think what else we need is, as we deliver these, we need to build them up as bigger than they are. And so whether that means me hitting the road and doing more speaking, which I have like 4 presentations in the next 2 months, doing more blogging, guest posting, driving sales, whatever. I'm going to hoe myself out to the market to help build this. And then any budget we can get to do any other advertising, we can lend ourselves to Calvin, and do campaigns for PPC specifically to these features, do pages on the website, do retargeting. It's because we've learned just delivering features doesn't help us. We need to help people understand the need and the purpose and the benefits of those features, and just really get out in front of everybody else. So we're going to make it happen. Q4, biggest quarter ever.
This is awesome.
Conversation we had before was that E6, there was going to possibly be a cost increase associated to our surcharge to go that route. Now that we're doing these in sprints, is there going to be costs associated with it? These are features that are not going to be available to just new clients, but to our current plates as well.
Some of it's not that easy. So some of these features we can roll out to anybody, but most will probably be by request. Because, so for instance, let's just take HTTPS and HTTP2. It takes the newest version of Nginx to support this. Nginx has to be installed on our server. Some of our servers are too legacy to support the new Nginx. So it's only going to work on Web 10 to start. So then we can't necessarily flip a switch and say you all have secured sites now. We can say new sites, you can have it, or old sites if it's something you absolutely need to have. We can either look at what it would take to enable that server to be able to do it, or move them onto Web 10. So it's not necessarily everybody gets it, and it's not necessarily all free. So for instance, incentives and rebates cost us per dealer to grab the information. So that'll be an upsell or a cost increase. Some of the other ones, it's up to us, or kind of up to sales, I guess. Like, so for the A/B testing portion, we have a minimal cost that we could eat if we think it'll increase sales and retention organically, or we can do a per dealer fee. So I need to get with Matt and our sales guys and talk to him a little bit about what the go-to-market strategy is. But I would say half of these potentially free, half charged, 75% for new customers or transitional customers that we bump up. You agree? Yes. So we'll be more specific to that as they get closer to launching, because it's a feature by feature decision that we have to make. Any other questions, concerns, comments, ideas?
Yeah, we're just looking forward to it. This is really, really good. Really stoked on what you guys are doing. Appreciate the update.
Agreed. Get her done.
Yeah, I think I'm from a market perspective and a product perspective, we're excited about it. It'll put us in a really good position to excel through 2017 and deliver those big features that no one else will be able to match. Whereas these things are important, but a little trivial in some cases. We know they're not trivial when it comes to selling, but we can compete on a higher level in 2017.
Beautiful. Yeah, we just, it's our time to get back in the forefront. I think this will get us there. So kudos to you guys.
All right, if there's nothing else, thanks for the time and the input. We have Kevin taking notes. We have some action items. This is going to take all of us coming together from a marketing perspective, from a need perspective, from a client communication perspective on the retention side. So we have to work together this quarter to solve those problems. So even beyond the actual features that we're delivering, let us know how we can help in those things. If we need to have a better customer communication, better training for AM's via product or whatever, we'll be busy, but we'll make time to improve all those things, because that's what's driving our decisions, should be driving your decisions as well. But that's all I got. Thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, so man. I mean, just it's the only nerve-wracking thing to me is there's not a ton of room for variable.